take your seats. We are a little bit early, so we're just attending to everything. So we'll start.
Shiva.
Padmanabham Suresham Vishwadaram Gagana Sadrisham Meghavarna Shubhagam Om.
Dear family and friends, Prem Namaskaram to all of you. Vanakkam, Namaste, Om Sai Ram, and good morning to one and all. We have received our beloved here at the venue. I've done the initial prayer. Now I want to ask all of you, wherever you are seated, to please bow your heads in prayer. Let us invite God's grace and blessings at this celebration of life for our dear Mama SOOBAMA NAIDOO. Om Gajnanamuttaganati Sevitam Kapit Jambo Palachar Bhakshanam Omasutam Shokavinash Karakam Namami Vigneshwara Padapanjakam. Om Shantakaram Bhujagashainam Padmanabham Suresham Vishwadaram Gaganasadrishvam Meghavarnam Shubhagam Lakshmikantam Kamalaneyanam Yogavindram Gamyam Vande Vishnum Bhavavayaram Sarvalokanatham. Om Shivaya Gauri Vadana Vrinda Suryaya Dakshineshwarana Shikaya Shri Nilakantaya Vishwajaya Tasmai Shri Karaya Namah Shivaya Tasmai Shri Karaya Namah Shivaya. Om Shanti 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 Om. Thank you very much, dear family and friends. We're going to now invite the immediate family to come and let them come and pay their respects first. Then we will invite all of you to come to. So I would appreciate if you just bear with us for the next 5 minutes for the immediate family to please come and pay their namaskars, offer their namaskars to Amma that's lying on stage. Thank you.
Sham no Vishnu Rudrama Hare
Thank you. Dear family and friends, once again, Prem Namaskaram to all of you. We want to, while we are here waiting, and maybe more of our family members and friends will be arriving a little later, we want to perform the Lost Rites here at the venue. So we do it in calm and in loving way. So I'm going to call the immediate family to come and line up here, assemble here, so we can start that prayer, and that won't take too long. Then after that, we will do Mass celebration, as we are here to attend the celebration of life. So please come to our immediate family. Dear family and friends, you are going to now, the immediate family are going to perform this final rites here at the venue. This is a ritual that is performed according to the Garuda Purana. When the soul exits this vessel, this body, the soul travels, that Atma travels the body to the morgue, to the venue, to the crematorium, and it goes back home till we conclude the final prayers, final ceremony to give energy, to show light to the soul so it can take leave from the Satli plane. What you witness now with the family, it is said that in the Garuda Purana that the soul resides about approximately a meter above the casket while it's here. Hence we put the lamp on the shoulder of our family member that's carrying the lamp. So it's in line with the soul. So it gives light to that soul. It gives energy to that soul. Our family members have all got a little light in their hand. They're doing the same thing. The first round, they will be doing 3 productions around. The first production, they will be saying thank you to Ma for setting a foundation for this family. The second production, second round, they'll be going around. They're saying, this little light we have in our hand, we are showing light, we're giving energy, so you can take leave from the earthly plane. And the third round is we saying, the immediate family is saying, from our spiritual hearts, where you are seated, we are releasing you into Lord Venkateswara's. Thank you. Om SOOBAMA NAIDOO Atma Shanti Om Nagendra Trilochanaya Vasmangaraga Maheshwara Rityaya Shadaya Digambara Asminakaraya Namishya Om Kodena Ram Ram Kodena Ram Ram Kodena Ram Sita Jaya 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 Ram Kodena Ram Ram Kodena Ram Ram Kodena Ram Sita Jaya 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 Ram Karuneya Ram Ram Karuneya Ram Ram Karuneya Ram Sita Jaya 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 Ram Karuneya Ram Ram Karuneya Ram Ram Karuneya Ram Sita Jaya 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 Ram Karuneya Ram Ram Karuneya Ram Ram Karuneya Ram Sita Jaya 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 Ram Kagasta Ram Ram Kagasta Ram Ram Ayodhya Ram Sita, Jaya 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 Ram. Dasharatha Ram Ram, Dasharatha Ram Ram, Dasharatha Ram Sita, Jaya 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 Ram. Dasharatha Ram Ram, Dasharatha Ram Ram, Dasharatha Ram Sita, Jaya 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 Ram. Dasharatha Ram Ram, Dasharatha Ram Ram, Dasharatha Ram Sita, Jaya 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 Ram. Lakshmana Ram Ram, Lakshmana Ram Ram, Lakshmana Ram Sita, Jaya 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 Ram. Lakshmana Ram Ram, Lakshmana Ram Ram, Lakshmana Ram Sita, Jaya 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 Ram. Kodana Ram Ram, Kodana Ram Ram, Kodana Ram Sita, Jaya 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 Ram. Dasharatha Ram Ram, Dasharatha Ram Ram, Dasharatha Ram Sita, Jaya 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 Ram. Dasharatha Ram Ram, Dasharatha Ram Ram, Dasharatha Ram Sita, Jaya 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 Ram. Kodana Ram Ram, Kodana Ram Ram, Kodana Ram Sita, Jaya 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 Ram. Om Nagendra Relochanaya Masmangaraga Maheshwaraya Vidyaya Shudhaya Digambaraya Tasmina Karaya Namah Shivaya Tasmina Karaya Namah Shivaya. Thank you, dear family. To all those that may have just arrived now, lovingly we request you to come and pay your respects and offer your love and support to the immediate family. You're welcome to come. Thank you.
You have tested.
Sri Raksha
going to go into the celebration of life now, and I would appreciate if one of the family members can stand at the back. If there's new members of family coming through, we will give them time a little later to pay respects. But while the celebration of life and the tributes are being offered, we'd appreciate you take a seat. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon to you all. And on behalf of our family, of the NAIDOO family, I would first like to extend the warmest welcome to every single one of you and to say a huge thank you to every single one of you for your love and your support and for being here with us today on what is undoubtedly the most difficult time in the lives of our family. I will introduce myself so you know my connection to Amma. Amma is my aunt, my mom's sister. I'm Jay Loshni, and when I say my aunt, I must say right at the beginning, ladies and gentlemen, I say loosely because truly she was a mother to every single one of us. And I think as we all sit here today, each one of us feeling our sense of loss, each one of us mourning, each one of us grieving as we bid farewell to her, the one common thing in this room is that every single one of us loved her. Every single one of our lives were touched her in some way or the other. I can tell you stories about her, but I know every single person in this room has their own stories, their own experiences, their own interactions, and that is the thing that we all have in common today. We all loved her dearly, and we were all loved by her, because that was the nature of the person we're celebrating today. And I say celebrating because while we mourn and while we feel the loss, we should also celebrate her, because that was the person she was. I don't think there is anybody who sits here who does not have a wonderful experience filled with love in your interactions with her. I can tell you so many stories about us growing up, which I will as I go on, but I want to say it is a difficult time, firstly. When you say goodbye to any member of your family, any loved one, it is the most difficult time. It is the only thing in life that is certain, it's death. And yet, no matter how much we experience it, it's the one thing that we never quite prepared for. Regardless of a person's age, regardless of ailments that they may experience, the loss is always unbearable. And I know everybody who's sitting here today feels their own sense of loss, and we all deal with it in our own ways. So we bid farewell today, ladies and gentlemen, to a real gem of a human being. She was special, she was dear to every single one of us, and I know everyone will agree when I say she was our shining light. She was our beloved mother. She played many roles in everybody's life. She was a sibling, she was an aunt, she was a mom, she was a daughter, she was a mother-in-law, she was a grandmother, a great-grandmother, but through all a friend, but through all of those many roles, she was a mother. And I think every one of us experienced the motherliness. Every one of us experienced an all-encompassing, wholesome love that she gave of herself so generously and so graciously. And when I think of words that describe her, the first word that comes to my mind is selfless. Because that was what she was. She was selfless. There was never an occasion in any one of our houses or our families that we could go on and do a function or an event without her. She had a presence that was larger than life, in her own quiet way. Because she never was one for the limelight, she always did it behind the scenes. She was always in the back, leading from behind, pushing everyone forward. But when I think about our house and my siblings, every single event, every single occasion, whether it was a prayer, it was a wedding, it was a ceremony, it was the smallest of functions, the first thing in all of our family that we would ask is Amma available? Because we couldn't do it without her, and we all knew that. She would offer guidance, she would offer support, she would offer advice, she would be nurturing, she would be patient, but at the same time she had an unbelievable strength that belied her gentleness, and she just took over behind the scenes. She could do everything. She was a perfectionist. She pushed everyone forward and she made sure that everything happened the way it should happen, and we couldn't do anything without her, right till the very end, right till the later years, even if she was just there offering her support. But she was fiercely loyal, and she was our go-to. She was our light, and she was the best of us. So today it's really, really hard as a family that we say goodbye to someone who's really the matriarch of our family, a stalwart in our family, a real legend for all of us. And it's the hardest thing to say goodbye to someone like her. I remember when we were growing up, my siblings and I still remember the house in Palm Road. I don't think any of us could forget that house. It was the most welcoming house. Both Uncle Bully and Amma just welcomed everybody. Nobody could arrive or visit without leaving after first having a huge meal, being served everything possible, and then being packed with boxes and parcels when we left home. I know that my siblings and I, we often talk about it. When we were little, we would actually fight amongst each other about who was going to spend the school holiday at her house in Palm Road, because we always had the most delicious thing to eat. Most of all, we would get up early in the morning and she would make the tea and make the breakfast and give us cake and give us biscuits, and we would wait with bated breath for whatever delicacies that she would offer us. Her hospitality was beyond belief. Her graciousness was beyond belief. And she just took in everybody as if it were her own. Everybody's child was her own child. Everybody's child thought of her as her mother, as a mother, because that's how selfless and all-encompassing her love was. She just embraced everybody wholeheartedly. To say that she was a ray of sunshine would be a gross understatement. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, so much of what I'd like to say today would be, or seem not enough, because that was the nature of the person we've lost. Her presence, like I said, was unfailingly larger than life. And you know, when we lose people and we're faced with death, we often say that life is short, you take nothing with you when you leave. The only thing you do take with you is the love and respect of those you leave behind. And Amma was really loved and so respected. More especially, ladies and gentlemen, it is what you leave behind that truly matters. It's the legacy that you leave behind that truly matters. And she has left behind so much. It really is immeasurable. Besides her family, her children, Naresh, Kasturi and Rohini, her grandchildren, Laresh, Sanveer, Teshan, Laranta, Pranisha, Nuthana, didn't miss anybody out, did I? Her grandchildren, her siblings, all of you, all of the people she's left behind, all of you as a legacy, and she lives on in every single one of you. More especially, she's left us all with so many important lessons. Lessons that she taught us in her own loving, charming, unobtrusive, unimposing way. lessons that are invaluable. She taught us by example, in the way she led her life, and the way she took on her challenges even later in life, so fearlessly, still with that trademark smile that we all remembered. Always a smile, every single time you see her, sometimes a mischievous smile. And that's the one thing I always looked at her in awe about, because she did everything as a mother, but she would always interact with the younger people, almost on their level. And she had a playfulness about her, and a mischievousness about her, and that smile. And she could make jokes with everybody. And that's how we all remember her. They say the true mark of a human being is seen in the way that he or she behaves or reacts during adversity. It is also seen in the way you behave or the way you treat people who can give you nothing in return. And we saw that with Amma. She faced her adversities with strength, fearlessly, with faith. And she also just wholeheartedly did anything for anybody, regardless of what she would get back in return. That wasn't even in her mind. She just did anything for everybody. And she took on her challenges bravely with guts and courage. She had a determination, a positivity, a tenacity, a resilience that was unbelievable. She truly was a remarkable and special human being, and I have often watched her in awe with the greatest admiration, her indomitable spirit, and through everything, no bitterness, she just radiated love and kindness, compassion and humility. Whatever her challenges were, she never allowed herself to get bitter, she never allowed herself to become negative. She laughed, she loved, and she gave of herself always. And there's so much more that I can say, ladies and gentlemen, which I will as we go along. But right now, as we celebrate her, I would like to call Laresh, her eldest grandchild, to say a few words.
Good morning, everybody. Yeah, I think Lois has said a lot, and listening to her just popped in memories about Palm Road and us growing up as a family. I think if you're from the BB NAIDOO family or the Johnson NAIDOO family, you'll know that grandchildren and grandparents have a very special bond. And I think all of us can attest to that. And that was the same with our mom. And me being the eldest grandson, I think I was kind of the tail behind her and my grandfather growing up. And I think even after I grew up, it was still the same. And I thought about this long and hard, and I said, how do you sum up a remarkable woman like this in 15 minutes, or 15 hours, or even 15 days? It's impossible. So I'm going to try my best to kind of highlight the moments that are special to all of us on behalf of our family. And I can start off by saying, what would be the best way to describe our ma? And I found something from the late Mother Teresa, and it says, the fruit of love is service. The fruit of service is peace, and peace begins with a smile. And I think that sums up Ma as a whole, of what she believes in and what she does. You know, if she was the definition of love and service, and I think everybody sitting here today, those that are not around with us and that may be live streaming, everybody has a special moment with her and know that her love language was service. And I was chatting to Nathana over the last couple of days, and I said, you know, how do we sum up Ma, or how would we describe her? And she says, you know, Ma expressed her love by just serving everybody, and that made her the happiest. And that's exactly what she was. And rightfully so, what Losh said, she expected nothing in return. She'd do it for everybody because she loved them. She'd do it for everybody because she wanted to, and not even expecting a thank you at the end. And that's who she was. She loved her family. She loved her extended family. She loved her in-laws as if they were her own family. She knew everybody, what's happening. I'd visit as often as I can, and sometimes just a 15-20 minute, hi Ma, how are you? And I will get the lowdown of everybody. I will know exactly what's going on in everybody's household. You know, this is what's going on here, that's what's happening here. This person isn't well, I'm worried about this person. I say, okay Ma, you know, you must just take it easy as well. But that's who she was, you know. She always put everybody else first. She was a hard-working woman. She sacrificed a lot for her family, for all of us. And watching her do that, you know, she set the bar really high for us as a family, for us as the children, as the grandchildren, to look at and see what kind of woman this is and what kind of woman she was in our lives. She was kind-hearted and gentle. You know, even though she was a hard worker, she'd never have a harsh word to say. She'd never get angry. I never understood that. And she'd always have that smile, you know, no matter what it was. And for me, that was just the biggest takeaway. And I'd just sit back and be in awe of how she just goes through any challenge, any circumstance, without complaints at all. The last thing she was is she was very respectful of everybody, young, old, any belief, anybody's faith, anybody's age group, anybody's stature. She would treat everybody the same. And that was something that we loved dearly. A few things that I would like to share that maybe some of you know and don't know. Myself, I think growing up, I think I'm one of the few grandchildren that kind of know probably everybody that's here, because I was with her and Dada from the time I think I could walk. Family visits in Merebank, family visits by all her sisters, family visits with all my aunties and uncles, and I'd be the tail that tags along. So, you know, for me, that was such a memory that I keep close to my heart. Those of you that lived where we lived, there was a place called Hyperama in Prospecton, and I would go with Dada and Ma, and you know, I would be able to, I was allowed to choose whatever I wanted. And you know, that was just who they were, that was who she was. You know, going on stayovers, all of our cousins, I think all of us had a session at Palm Road, whether it was at Wavecrest, whether it was growing up in school, and sometimes the timetables would clash. You know, I'd rock up there and I'd see Larita there, you know, and Sanveer is there, or Natana, and then we're around. And it was just the best because we got our favorite foods, we got our favorite meals. No one was telling us what to do or what not to do. We literally got away with murder. Yeah, and then in terms of Ma's favorite foods and what she knew exactly what everybody liked. You know, she would often tell us who's good at this, who's good at that. I mean, even on the last days, Auntie Premila and I were there on Thursday, and she actually told us, she says, you know, my sisters are really good in cooking and baking, eh? And she says, you know, even though she's a little sickly, but you know, she's still so good. And then Auntie Premila asked her, what about Parvati? No, she can also cook very well. And what about Kamla? You know, Kamla cooks and bakes really well. And this was Thursday. This was the day before she passed on. And then she was in awe of Proj, and she would say, you know, Proj is baking, it reminds me of me, and you know, her soji, and I think Auntie Premila was a banana puri she mentioned about you. And this, she's telling us all of this sitting in ICU, and talking to us and telling us what, you know, what everybody does, what everybody likes. And you know, it was really heartwarming to know that on Ma's final day, she still knew and loved everybody and knew exactly what was going on. A part that I want to chat about is birthday cakes. I think all of us are quite familiar with Ma baking our birthday cakes. And I think up until probably 8 or 10 years ago, and I'm 40 right now, so I'm talking about when I was 30, she would bake my cake, and somebody wanted to help decorate it. And she says, no, Liresh likes one Smartie, one Astro, one Smartie, one Astro. It's not, you can't just put anything anyhow. And she knew this about all of us. You know, I think Natana's was peppermint crisp. I think the boys liked their other chocolate cake. She just knew exactly what everybody wanted. And again, up until a 30-year-old man, she would still treat us as her babies and as her grandchildren. Losh was talking about entertaining at home. I'll never forget my granddad, you know. He'd rock up at the 11th hour and he would just say, Ma, my brothers are coming home and we need to prepare. And she would be, no problem, let's get it done. And if you knew our families, I think our immediate families with Dada and his brothers and our aunties and uncles and stuff, it was probably close to 50 to 70 of us. And she would just do it with a smile and be so happy in doing what she does. Again, the family weddings, people that were born, I think all of us, the grandchildren here, I'm sure I see some of my cousins and everybody, I think I'm almost 100% sure she was there at our births. She literally was there at our first baths. She was there at every aspect of what was done. And she loved it, and she loved it. It was not a task for her, but rather a privilege. Something else that I remembered, and I was actually sitting up at 1 o'clock this morning and thinking, you know, how do I really do justice to this amazing lady? And I thought about the funny aspects of her. So all of you knew, you know, I think Victor Dad and I were talking about it this morning about Wild Coast. And you know, Ma and Dada would be at Wild Coast. And we'd be there with our families, and we'd probably be there for weeks on end, and they'll have turns with taking the grandchildren. So each of us would have a turn to accompany her to Wild Coast. And I remember this one time, I think it was my turn, and I was probably 15 or 16, and Dada was having his nap during the day, and then she said, come, let's take a walk down to the casino. I said, Ma, they're not gonna let me in. So she put Dada's coat and his Stetson hat. I remember that hat of his, if you guys remember my granddad, and she says, come, let's go. And you would never know this about her. And we went, and I got into the casino. So that was really a memory that I keep with me. And Dada was fast asleep, and we came back up, and he's like, where were you? And she says, you don't worry where we were. And you know, that was one of the things that I keep close to us. She would play cards with her grandchildren. I don't know if everybody knew about that. She would play 9 cards with us. She'd play porridge with us growing up. She'd make that time, you know, being so busy as everything that she's done, she'd still have fun with her grandchildren. One of her other loves were looking at family photos. You know, she'd take out albums and we'd go through it, and we'd look at family, and she'll explain to us family that we didn't know. She'll explain to us family that were there. She'll explain who's everybody, and she just loved it, and that warmed her heart. The last 3 that I'd like to chat about is her great-grandchildren. You know, I think we kind of got the back seat after the last couple of years, the grandchildren. And Atara, her eldest granddaughter, who's now I think 14 or 13, going on 14, you know, was the apple of her eye as well. She can tell you stories, and she's so blessed to be able to say that you know, went to the coffee shop at Country Life where they were. As soon as Tara would come from school, Ma and Dada would take her. They knew her. They knew the coffee shop owners knew that that's their great granddaughter. I would rock up and probably take them to the Pick and Pay, and the teller or the butcher knows, is that your grandson that you spoke about? And I'm like, yes, okay, that's us. And that's how proud they were of their great-grandchildren and their children. And I had 2 great-grandsons, my boys. Yeah, I think Ezra is turning 3 in the next couple of months, and he was her kind of limelight recently. She would, if I look back and I looked at some photos together with my wife, and I'd see Ma in all the photos, she just stares and smiles at him in awe, you know. Up until Christmas, the one episode that I remember quite distinctly, we had Christmas at home, and I see my son going, he's got his hands on Ma's lap, and they're having a hearty conversation. And I'm not sure what they're talking about. And I'm looking and I'm thinking, what are you two talking about? And it was probably for about 10 or 15 minutes. And I didn't even want to interrupt them. And you know, she loved that. He would go close to her intentionally so that he could pull her glasses, take a walking stick and run with it. You know, and she would, and I'd reprimand him, and she'd say, leave him, just leave him. You know, and that was one of the things that were really, really close to our heart, is that she managed to see them. She was proud of them. I think she was really proud of being the great-grandmom. She said that to all her great-grandchildren. The youngest, I think, you know, he didn't get the justice. He's just 9 months. But she'd always say, you know, he looks like Dada, and he's very cheeky like Dada, eh? And I say, yeah, Ma, I think so. This is really cheeky, just like Dada. And yeah, these are some of these memories, and you know, there's so many more, but these are some of the ones that kept close to our heart and that I'd like to share. Lastly, I'd like to just do a bit of a vote of thanks. And firstly, I'd like to thank everybody. Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for making the time. My family from Durban, my family from across, everybody that flew in, people that are joining online, people that couldn't come. It's really heartwarming to us to know that you all love and care for Ma that much. Firstly, I'd like to thank God. I'd like to thank God for blessing us with this granny that we've had. You know, I pray and I hope that every other grandchild gets to grow up the way we did. I pray the same for my children and my nieces and my nephews, because we were just blessed. You know, to have a granny like that, I knew that God really loved us to have put us in her family. The next thing I'd like to do is, I'd actually like to thank my wife as well. You know, marrying into our family is not the easiest task. And she knew that the relationship between my granny and I. And she supported me from day one. You know, late nights, if we needed to sort Ma out, if something needed to be done, you know, being at home with 2 under 2 wasn't an easy task, but she never hesitated to say, just go make sure Ma's okay. And thank you for that, and that meant a lot to me. My dad and mom, I'd like to thank you guys. Over the last couple of years, I think I've seen what you guys have done for Ma. And Dad, you know, over the last 4 to 5 years, I think growing up, you've really become a different person than even I know. You know, seeing the way you take care of Ma, making sure her food is sorted out, escorting her everywhere, ensuring her tablets are done, making sure her life surrounded around her, Daddy. A big salute to you and Mom, and thank you for that. Auntie Kasturi and Uncle Jay, you know, even though you guys were in Durban, a phone call away in an emergency, you guys were here. When there was support needed and something needed to be done, they clubbed in and we got it done. If there was decisions to be made, no hesitation. I know there were a couple of times that Kasturi even left Uncle Jay and she was here. And that sacrifice that you guys have made really is unwavering, and I salute you guys. But Hini and Nathana, even though you guys were in the USA, it really felt like you were right there with us. Every step of the way, whatever needed to be done for Ma, how it needed to be done, your support, your influence, your input, I thank you on behalf of everybody for being there and for being a unit together with the family, and really salute you both. Memory, who is not here, that took care of Ma for just over a year, and I think she'll probably come through later with my wife and them, is that she really loved Ma, and a big thank you to her for being with Ma over the last year and a half and taking care of Ma and making sure that she's okay. To Sanveer, my cousin here on the other side, you know, we would plan our work travel on a separate timetable to the office. We'd discuss, okay, are you in Joburg this week or am I out this week? Just so that somebody is available if something needs to be done. You know, Sanveer, you've never hesitated. You've always supported. You've always been there. I think even in the last time where Ma got sick, you know, I still remember I got the discovery notification of an authorization on my phone, and I was in Nigeria. And I'm like, okay, who's ill? Why am I getting an authorization notification at 9 o'clock at night? And I call my dad, and he says, no, you know, we've just taken Ma to the hospital. The next phone is I phoned Sanveer. I said, listen, it's late in the night. I'm worried how Daddy's driving. He says, I'm here already. I'm with your dad. And you know, it's things like that I just want to say thank you, and I know Ma would appreciate it, and really for doing whatever we could for Ma. My siblings, Deshan, Tanisha, my cousins Livinta and Nathana, I know we all clubbed in to support what needed to happen. We made decisions collectively as a family. We supported each other with what needed to happen. And thank you for that, and for us embracing Ma's memory and what has happened. A special mention to also my cousin Kaveshri, and I don't think she's around, but she's really helped us together with Ma and her illness, and a kind of an illness for the last couple of years, and supporting us with what needs to happen, with the advice that's needed, the guidance that's needed. A big heartfelt thank you. Proj and Naveen, you guys, I'm lost for words. You guys have been there through thick to thin, to every aspect. I think the situation of where you'll stay is literally in between Dad and them and Ma and us, and you're always kind of first line of defense. And thank you for all that you've done for our granny. Thank you all that you've done for Ma. Thank you for the sacrifices together with Kara, the kids. You guys have always been there right till the end, and we appreciate it very much as a family. Auntie Premila, you as well, you know, being in Johannesburg, even though you weren't there all the time, but when stuff needed to be done, or Ma just needed to have the presence and understand what's happening, you were there. Thank you for being with us and supporting us towards the end. Vijayan, I actually haven't seen you yet, and I know that you were going to collect the food as well. And a big thank you, Vijayan, for all that you've done in representing Mummy and them. You know, you were there with us on Friday night as well. You know, you'd really do everything for Ma. And one thing I want to share with you, Vijayan, is Ma always used to tell me, you know, Vijayan reminds me of my father. And I don't remember Tata very well, but she'd always say that Vijayan reminds me of my dad. And she said that exactly how Tata used to behave, and that's how Vijayan is. And Vijayan, thank you for doing that, and she acknowledged all of that, and you being there. To my uncles, Uncle Manu and Uncle Dini, thank you both for always, even though we don't see you often, in terms of crisis and family needs you, it's just a phone call, And I call both my uncles, and the answer is, we're getting it sorted out, or we'll get it done, or what do you need done? And the unwavering love for Ma and our support and for being there, our family really appreciates that, and thank you both very much. There are other families in Johannesburg, together with everybody else, and please forgive me if I've missed anybody. A big heartfelt thank you to you all for everything that you've done for Ma, for the support that you've given our family. Lastly, I would love to talk about just Ma's sisters, Parvati Atha, Kamala Kama, and Damni Akka that's not here. Those are my names for them, by the way, so, and it stays. You know, Ma loved you three dearly. And if you didn't know, I think the grandchildren had an internal joke that we called you guys the Golden Girls, the four of you. So, and the love that you guys had, and you know, I remember growing up, we'd even know the times. That if that call came through at 7:30 or 8, that was Kamala Kama. At Parvati Atha was a bit earlier. Damni Atha would be in the morning, or just after school, I think at 2:30 or 3 o'clock. And I just would like to tell you, or the three, that even on her last day, she talked proud about the three of you. She loved the three of you unconditionally, and she really appreciated everything that you guys have done, the love, the support, and she was proud to call the three of you her sisters. So thank the three of you from all of us for being there for Ma and being there with us. And again, lastly, for everybody that has traveled and that has come through, a big thank you from our family. Thank you for all for making the time, making the effort. It just shows the love for Ma. For the contributions and support that we've received from family members, a big thank you. You know who you are. Thank you for just supporting whichever way that you needed to. Thank you for all that you've done, and we appreciate it very much. I'd like to leave and end with this, and Ma, this is the best that I could sum it up for you. And this is from 2 Timothy 4:7. You fought the good fight. You finished the race, and you've kept the faith. I love you, Ma.
Thank you so much, Lorenz. I don't think any one of us who's sitting here would have moved by every single word or could not relate to every single thing. I saw heads nodding, people smiling, remembering the funnies, remembering all the lovely things she used to say, remembering her sense of humor. And thank you for giving us all the in-depth stories that we all remember and we can all think back about. You know, when you said she was so hardworking, I don't think any one of us would doubt that. I always remember if there was a wedding in our house, she would come like a week or so before. She would spend a week or two before that baking every kind of thing you could possibly think of, maybe 15 things sometimes. And then she would arrive with Uncle Bully, and they would have the containers all stacked high, everything laid out so neatly so that we had everything for the wedding. And then when she would come for that week before, I know my dad used to say to her, don't you ever sleep. Don't you ever rest. She's up 3 o'clock in the morning, she's in the shower. Then at 4 o'clock she's in the kitchen. She's laying out things, she's doing things, she's fixing things, and she's doing all the behind the scenes. Just non-stop. Sometimes you looked at her and thought, how is this humanly possible? How is it even possible, even when she was older? And then when the wedding finished, after days of late nights, parties, wedding, the next morning when everything's finished and everybody is, you can't even get up with catatonic, she's up at 3 again, cleaning, washing pots, cleaning everything. I know one time after the wedding, my dad said to her, what are you doing up? Don't you ever sleep? It was like a robot. She was a warrior. She had the strength of an ox, and she did it with a smile, always. And I think that's something we all remember at every occasion in our houses. Before we conclude, and we're losing time, Nathana, her granddaughter in the US, who is here with us today in spirit, I know it's so hard for her to not be here, but she sent a special message for Ma, and I'm going to read it to you. And she says, how does one do justice to commemorate the life of a woman who selflessly devoted herself to the family? The truth is we can't, because it's rare to find someone who gave as wholeheartedly as she did. Ma's love language was acts of service, tirelessly working to ensure that we always had what we needed and wanted. often sacrificing her own comfort for those around her. Every time I visited her, Ma would greet me with that loving grin, the kind that made you feel instantly welcomed. She never had to tell me she loved me, because she demonstrated it in everything she did, whether it was sending me her famous peppermint biscuits all the way to the USA so I could enjoy a taste of home, or magically making custard or chutney sandwiches appear the moment I mentioned missing them, and always paid attention to the little things that made me happy. That was her way of saying, I'm thinking of you. But Ma's love extended far beyond these thoughtful gestures. She was the quiet backbone of our family, steady, dependable, and endlessly generous. She carried burdens without complaint, celebrated our victories as if they were her own, and created a sense of belonging that wrapped around all of us like a warm blanket. When Ma was around, you felt cared for, even in silence. What I admired most was her strength, not the loud, dramatic kind, but the gentle, enduring strength that comes from a lifetime of showing up for others. She faced challenges with grace, met responsibilities with humility, and found joy in giving in so many ways. And she taught us what love looks like in action. As we gather to honor her today, I'm reminded that the greatest legacies aren't built from grand achievements, but from the small, consistent acts of love that shape the people around us. Ma taught us how to care for one another, how to show up, how to give without expecting anything in return. These lessons will stay with us for the rest of our lives. Losing her leaves a space that cannot be filled, but the love she poured into us remains. It lives in our memories, in our traditions, and in the way we treat each other. And if we continue to love with the same generosity and sincerity that she did, then her spirit will always be with us. Thank you, Ma, for your kindness, for your strength, and for your unwavering love. We will carry you in our hearts forever. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is from Nutana, or the granddaughter, all the way in the US. Before we continue with the rest of the traditional ceremony now, ladies and gentlemen, just on behalf of all our family, I just want to say to Ma, when you said goodbye, you left an enormous, gaping, empty, hollow space in the lives of all of us who loved you, of all of us whom you loved so wholeheartedly and unconditionally. Your children, your grandchildren, your siblings, your nieces, your nephews, your everybody in your lives, your family, that meant so much, and every single one meant so much to you. It's a heartbreaking, devastating time. That's what losing you is for all of us. We'll all have to try to resume normal everyday activities, working, smiling, and talking, going through the emotions, but throughout masking broken hearts. We can never quite come to terms with the fact that you're truly gone. You are so dearly loved, Amma. We will never stop hearing your beautiful laugh. Oh, here you be your practical, no-nonsense self, taking charge of things, being a perfectionist, a master of all trades, your beautiful smile, your love, your wholehearted support, always from behind, leading and guiding everyone, truly and fully invested, unconditional, and always selfless. I suppose the only comfort is knowing that you touched so many lives, that your kindness left an indelible mark on so many hearts, more than we know. You've been so much to so many. You've played so many roles. You spoiled everyone in your life. How blessed and grateful every single one of us is, in this room is, to have been touched in some way by your love, your generosity of spirit. How fortunate we are to have been in your presence, to witness your pure heart, your words of wisdom, your warm smile, your sincerity, humility. How lucky we are to have been the beneficiaries of your genuine love and care. You were always a straight shooter. What we saw is what we got, no fools. You stayed true to yourself and you never compromised that in any way. Integrity, kindness, selflessness and service. These are words I'll always remember when I think of you. You were family to so many in every sense of the word, and we will forever be grateful to you for your kindness and your impact in our worlds. You made our world a better place. So as we say goodbye to you today, we'll always carry you in our hearts. And every single one of us will have our own memories of you. We love you, Ma, and we'll remember you forever. Ladies and gentlemen, again, on behalf of the family, thank you so much to every single one of you for being here and your support. Please also remember that after the service, lunch will be served in this hall, and we'd like to invite you all to please join us as we continue to remember our beloved aunt and our beloved mom. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Dear family and friends, as we come up for time, I'm going to ask the family to come very quickly through and offer their love to our dear beloved quickly so we can take leave as the crematorium is ready for us. Thank you. Thank you, dear family and friends. For those that may be accompanying us to the crematorium, as we proceed out to the hearse, please also you proceed to your vehicles so we can travel in convoy if you don't know the way. We are due to be there at 1, so we have a few minutes more so we can take leave. Thank you. Om Nagendahara Trenochanaya Vismangaraga Maheshwaraya Nityaya Shudaya Digambaraya Tasmena Karaya Namah Shivaya Om 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 Namah Shivaya
Namah Shivaya, Om 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 Namah Shivaya.